Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and today, for the first time, we are taking a look at Angren, I believe, was the name of the place, and I have never heard of that before. All the other places that we've been to thus far have at least been mentioned in The Witcher 3, or in Gwent, or what have you, or Witcher 1 or 2 even, and for that reason, I had a general sense what we might have been running into, but I've never heard of this place before. It kind of looks like the swamp area in The Witcher 1 around Vizima, but outside of that, I have no clue. So let us see what we can do here. Of course, we just finished Mahakam, and we did successfully win the favor of the dwarves, which you'd love to see. But we also met up with our son, who continues to, of course, be a pawn of Nilfgaard. And supposedly here, we are expecting to find a way to sabotage the Nilfgaardians and try to find a way to get a win that will perhaps win over the support of others and just generally start to turn the tide of this war back in our favor. Because now that we have more people on our side, perhaps we can start to bring the fight back to Nilfgaard a little bit. Now, we will, I suppose, for the time being, just do some exploration in this area. There is main quest update over there, which is presumably the next big thing for us. Was there anything else in this corner? And I do see we have updates in our tent area over here. So perhaps we should check in on people as well before we get too far over here. So let's see. We also kept Gabor. There was some question as to whether he would abandon ship or if we would perhaps chase him off. But no, he's good to go. Oh, the other thing that I almost forgot to mention was that apparently we learned that we have a spy among our crew here. And it seems like that's going to be one of the primary things we're looking to do when we're here in Angren. Is not only just try to attack the Nilfgaardians and get a win, but also establish who that spy is and get rid of them. And so theories abound, or at least I'm sure there will be, as to who it is. And of course, please don't spoil it because I've never played Thronebreaker before. But first guess would be, well, I don't think it would be either Reynard or Gascon who are playing cards against each other, it seems, because they're both our main allies. Of course, Reynard is tried and true Lyrian / Rivian, whereas Gascon, although is of course a bandit, has seemingly been, very trusty companion. He was the one that gave us a lot of important intel in Mahakam. Then I doubt it would be Gabor, since it was supposedly someone who joined us, or someone who was with us before we went to Mahakam, because the way we found out was that the Nilfgaardians knew we were going to Mahakam before we even got there, so the only way they could have gotten there in time was if someone had informed them in advance. And so I doubt it's one of our just normal soldiers, because that just wouldn't be all that significant in that case. So I think it is one of the main characters. I don't think it's Reynard. I don't think it's Gascon. I don't think it could be Gabor, because obviously he only met up with us once we arrived in Mahakam. And that probably leaves us with the people that we met in Edirn. Oh, and similarly, not Barnabas for that same reason. So of all the people we met in Edirn, first it was Rayla, was it not? And technically, although she's not with us anymore, she was there when we arrived in Mahakam. So there's a chance that she told the Nilfgaardians and then peaced out once we, kicked her out. But I still think that's pretty unlikely. She does not seem like someone who would be working for the Nilfgaardians ever. Then, there's also similar category. There's Ake. We met in Lyria, although he left so quickly that he wouldn't have even known that we were going to Mahakam anyway. People we met in Edirn, again, I think are probably the most likely ones, and that would mean potentially Xavier. I mean, on one hand, we know very little about him, so that does make him a little bit suspicious. On the other hand, he helped us at the very end of Mahakam, where there was a collapsing bridge that could have taken us out and killed us. So, I mean, if he were working for the Nilfgaardians, supposedly he would want us to die on that bridge, right? So that just seems like that wouldn't make a lot of sense in that case. And in general, I'm just not sure. And the other thing is that, when we found him, he was the one survivor in a town that was attacked by the Nilfgaardians, so that is very suspicious. Maybe the reason why he survived was because they spared him in exchange for him being a spy. So that's a little suspicious, but again, I think the whole bridge situation is a fairly strong counter-argument against that. Then That leaves us with okay, Knickers, technically, which, I mean, who knows? But Isbel, who we also know basically nothing about, other than she doesn't like fighting. But she has told us nothing about her past, and so I think she's probably my number one suspect here. Either her or Knickers, depending on how exactly a dog could spy for Nilfgaard, I'm not entirely sure, but, you know, I think it's one of these three. I don't really think it's Xavier, so I think it's most likely Isbel. But alas, we will continue to theorize, I'm sure, as time goes on. Oh, and, well, let's actually talk to people and see how they're doing here.
Yes, Your Grace?
Alright, so why are the Nilfgaardians so cruel?
Reynard, you fought in the first war against Nilfgaard, did you not?
Yes, Your Grace. Though, as a mere captain then.
He was only a captain, so young and naive. That's still reasonably high ranking.
Were they equally cruel? Did they scorch fields, turn peasants into slaves?
Nay, Your Grace. They fought with honor in those days.
And what's with such a dramatic turn in that case?
So, what's happened? Why the change?
Yeah. New leadership? You'd have to think.
It's said Emperor Emir var Emrys's heart hardened over the years. He's grown crueler, more ruthless. His soldiers' zeal for violence has followed suit.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense if initially it was one ruler and then afterward it was a different ruler and you say, well, one was just much crueler than the other, but for it to be the same person, it is surprising. It was Emir for both cases. Wow.
But you don't say that.
No, Your Grace.
To your mind, why do they now despise us as they war against us?
'Tis ever easier to loathe those you know. Before the first war, they knew nothing about us.
Ah, okay.
Then they saw they'd the better weapons, larger cities, superior craft. But in our towns, waste flowed through the streets in open gutters.
Okay, so now that they've learned more about us, they found more reasons to hate us?
And they concluded we weren't their equals. It's far easier to kill when one holds such a belief.
I see. Alright, well, it seems like that's all we can talk with Reynard about, at least of all the new things.
It's time I attended to other matters.
Okay. He still has... Okay, no. Wait, he does? He still has an
Yes,
exclamation
Your
above his head? Hold on. That surprises me. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what the deal is there. But maybe that's just a false alarm. Let's talk to Gascon.
Hey ho, how's my favorite queen in the north?
Ever regret your bandit life? I mean, he's kind of abandoned it when he joined us, but I mean, he's certainly still has some bandit-like ways that he still continues to pursue.
Ever have regrets? Feel remorse?
For what?
Oh, I don't know. Killing innocents, perhaps? Murdering travelers, pilgrims?
I've always warned them. Won't touch a hair on your heads, provided you don't resist. So, see, gave them a choice.
Okay, I mean, I guess there's that.
Besides, innocents? Please, Meve. We both know those to be mythical creatures. Everyone's got something on their conscience.
So there's always call for murder.
Right, just because they've done the slightest wrongs in their life doesn't mean that warrants murdering them.
That's right. Dead right. You need but answer it.
Agree to disagree in that case. Alright, well...
It's time I attended to other matters. Farewell.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long since we last chatted with people here that I might just be forgetting that the exclamation point remains until maybe we leave this area. So let's talk to Gabor next.
Always good to see the Queen. How can I help you?
Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, one would assume that would have been much easier for Gabor to have stuck around in Mahakam, especially since we did not rat out the Zigrins.
We haven't had a chance to speak since we left Mahakam. Why join us? Or decide to leave your homeland, for that matter?
As I said, I was in your debt. Still am.
You're a dwarf of honor. I'm pleased. But not entirely convinced 'twas reason enough for you to leave your clan.
Right.
Not about to let me off easy, are you?
Nope.
All right. I may have been motivated elsewise.
Okay. Care to explain?
By a guilty conscience?
The horridness with the Fuchses. All that blood and mud. It went too far. I tried to talk it out with the elders. They brushed me aside like a wee bairn.
Okay.
But that weren't the whole of it. I saw the shite dwarves living in your cities go through. Thought I'd forget once I came home. Got back to dealing with my own problems.
Alright.
Only, can't I forget something like that? I've got to help. Any way I can. Nothing would come of my sitting on my arse in my hackum.
Alright, I mean, that's honorable as well. We'll see if Gabor does find a way to help the dwarves in the Northern Realms.
I understand, Gabor. And I know you'll find a way to help.
Alright. That looks like that's
We shall
all for
return to this
Gabor.
conversation later.
No skin off my back. We seen each other, your grace.
Alright. So then, Xavier next.
Yes, milady?
And this is what I mean. On one hand, he has perhaps the most suspicious background. Again, close between him and Isbel, but especially given how he was the one person that survived, that would seem to suggest he made some kind of deal with the Nilfgaardians, but the fact that he saved our lives does feel like, well, if he was trying to sabotage us for the Nilfgaardians, then that was his opportunity right there, and he did exactly the opposite of that.
I haven't had the opportunity to thank you. Had you not been so alert, we'd have fallen to our deaths in Mahakam.
I merely did my duty, your majesty.
And again, I do wonder what would happen if you, for whatever reason, had not recruited him at that point in time, and so, or there might have been options to get rid of him earlier on, and so if he's not there, what happens? Surely it's not just a complete game over.
Modest as ever. Yet once the war is over, I shall make certain you're properly rewarded.
My lady, the one reward I desire is victory. Your victory.
Okay. Also trying to see if we can read him at all. How honest does that feel? I don't know.
Other matters await my attention. We shall speak later.
As you wish, my lady.
Okay, then we have Barnabas.
You need my help with anything? Anything at all. I've ideas aplenty.
How you getting along? He is, of this group, is he our most recent addition? I think he still is, right? I mean, unless you want to... I mean, Gabor joined us beforehand. Yeah, he came after Gabor. I mean, Gabor confirmed he would stay with us more recently, but Barnabas was the most recent addition.
Ever travelled with an army before?
Frankly, can't say that I have. You folk are my first. And let me say, it's not nearly as dull as I expected. Your travelling companions are fascinating, truly.
Glad to hear it.
Is that so? Who, if I might ask?
Yeah, by any chance, has anyone perhaps referred to courting with Nilfgaard?
Let me think. Then there's that aged woman, Isbel, is it? Oh, your grace, a complete lunatic, that one. Did you know she
Okay.
believes the world to be round?
My goodness!
Like an egg! And just between the two of us, the quiet chap, Xavier, gives me the willies, truth be told. Could just be on account of his face looking like a piece of taffy stuck to the sole of a boot.
That's one way to describe it.
Who else? Oh, right. A word of advice. Never play Gascon at cards. He's a hustler, that one. And he tells tall tales. About debts, specifically. Ones that I supposedly owe him.
Is that so now?
And the Reynard fellow. What a jester. Always good for a laugh.
Is he now?
I'm sorry, what?
That seems like exactly the opposite of the Reynard we know.
Every day he barks at me, stand at attention, with a perfectly straight face. And last, he asked asked if I'd served in the Norm Army. I mean, really, sometimes I just can't with that man.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Very thorough, Barnabas. I thank you.
Alright, and that looks like it
Time I
across the
attended to other
board.
matters.
Ah, yes, you're still here. Off you go then.
And I don't know if we should read into this at all, but I did notice that the only person here of particular significance who we cannot speak to besides Knickers is Isbel,
I'm pleased to see you again, Mom. You need something?
It really sounded like with her accent that she just called us Mom. But, nothing new from her. Which is a little bit strange, and is that an indication that we should be even more suspicious? I don't know. I don't know.
Calls. I must go.
Of course. Should you need me, I'll be here.
Let's just keep our eyes and ears peeled. Watch out for suspicious stuffs, and with stuff at the royal tent as well, which means perhaps, yep, some new reports, several new reports in fact. Okay, so Angren, what is the deal here? Angren partly under Nilfgaardian control. Black-clad troops hold key fortresses and transportation arteries, but little beyond that. Okay. Swampy wilds remain uncharted, untamed. That could be a little bit dangerous then. Count Caldwell rules Angren on behalf of Emperor. Commands small division at Tuzla Castle, south of the swamps, with, of course, his second-in-command, Elon Musk. Nilfgaardian troops also supervise log-cutting operations supplying their fleet. Sounds like this could be an area with a ton of wood, which, given how we just came back from Mahakam, where there was basically no wood, that would probably be very useful to us. Further danger presented by monster attacks. Foul beasts are present in Angren's wetlands in numbers far exceeding those found anywhere else. Ooh, okay. Not sure how truthful that really is. Does that mean we're quite literally going to run into additional encounters of monsters relative to everywhere else? Perhaps. Okay, letter from Bruver. Meve, remember, the volunteers from Mahakam aren't to go without victuals, bevies, or brawls. Don't be stingy, I'm paying. And make sure they don't chum around with your other troops more than the absolute minimum. Keep them segregated. I don't want any of your idiotic human fashions depraving my decent dwarves and infecting the mountains when they get back. Bruver. P.S. If you fight the Blackclads with the same mule-headedness you showed me, they're in for a solid beating. Don't give up. I mean, alright. I guess it is fair to say that we have truly won Bruver over, when it seemed for a long time like that would be quite a challenge to do. Then, letter from Captain Tobias. I'll be honest, I don't remember who that is. Despite it saying this is number 3. Your Majesty, you surely know already Count Caldwell's been handed control of Angren. Your son, Willem, seized this chance to assert his independence. When General Abdahe's absent from the capital, the young prince pushes his own decrees through the Council of Peers. It's not for me to judge whether this all isn't according to some plan of the invaders. So I think we had heard that not only are obviously the Nilfgaardians are really the ones running the show in Lyria and Rivia, but even one step below that, before Willem is Caldwell actually has been doing more than Willem has from a leadership standpoint, so only when both the Nilfgaardians and Caldwell are out of town can Willem actually do anything of significance. Yesterday's emissaries from Temeria and Kedwin came to court. I'm afraid they seek to cut a deal with the Nilfgaardians? What? Other northern realms are trying to cut a deal with the Nilfgaardians? I mean, surely they know that they would be next, right? Or unless they think that they can, sell us out and somehow get Nilfgaard to spare them, but I doubt that. If Redania joins them, another northern realm, the war will end and the enemy shall triumph. Yeah, that's basically all the other northern realms potentially conspiring against us and working with Nilfgaard. My lady, the North needs a victory. You must know your fight is of the utmost importance. We need you now more than ever before. Captain Tobias. Oh, okay, so is he basically a spy for us? A guy who is still in the Lyrian/Rivian army back in Lyria and Rivia, who is reporting back to us? Unbeknownst to the Nilfgaardians? That seems to be the case. But yeah, it's been so long, I don't remember. But, okay, so that makes sense. The significance of us winning a big fight against the Nilfgaardians is that perhaps that can sway public opinion and convince the Temerians, Kedwenis, and Redanians that, hey, rather than trying to side with Nilfgaard, we should actually all team up together and we could fight off Nilfgaard collectively. And that is, I think, our ultimate goal here. Then even more from the command tents? I thought we had already checked out the dwarves we added to our... Oh, no! No, I guess we haven't. We saw that they got added, but we only saw their base power, didn't really see their abilities. So, Mahakam Shieldbearer, see what your deal is. Restraint, so can't target a boss. Order set a unit's power equal to Malcolm Shield Bearer's power. Charge 2. Okay, so I mean, if we can get him highly boosted, then we can make another card highly boosted. We, for the most part, have been running damage-oriented stuff, though, not so much boost-oriented stuff, so don't have a lot of setup for him right now. So I think that's not great for us, as our deck is currently constructed, but that could change. Gives us a different potential direction we could go in. Then the Volunteer Corps, or Core, move 2 units with the same power to the other row on their side. Not really sure what the best use case for this would be. I mean, movement in general does support Gascon. But other than that, maybe if we were trying to set up an Alchemist and we don't have cards in the ideal spots, this could potentially help to make that happen, but that's mostly sounds like making up for a prior mistake more than a net benefit when you are playing well. So I'm not loving the sound of that one. This one sounds more intriguing if we fine-tune our deck further. This one just not really seeing the value of it all that much right now. Malcolm Mangler. Order, damage an enemy and all other enemies with the same power by 2. Okay, so this is basically a slightly weaker version of our leader ability that we've been using as of late, but in this case it's coming from a unit. So this is obviously damage-centric and does seem to work better with the approach we're trying to take here. And the value is, of course, based a lot upon how many enemy units there are with the same amount of power, because it's just 2 base power and possibly as little as 2 damage. On the low end, this is pretty bad. On the high end, it could be, there's room for 9 units per row. There's 2 rows, so maximum of 18 possible cards. And with 2 damage apiece, if they were all the same number, would be 36 points of damage plus 2 base power. So 38 is the totally unrealistic ceiling, the cap for how much value this guy could give you. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily, we could maybe throw you in. I'm not necessarily sure who we'd replace. So, I think we'll keep our existing deck for the moment. And let us head on our way and see at that next main quest location what we're going to run into, because we still don't know very much about this area. So I imagine we might get the chance to get a better sense of what we're going to deal with here. Ridge on the Yaruga. Okay, it is the Yaruga, which is the big river that separates sort of the dividing line between Nilfgaard and the Northern Realms. And it is of particular strategic importance for that reason. Okay, but what is the deal? Oh, well, those are Nilfgaardians.
Hidden among brambles, Meve watched the Nilfgaardian sentries atop the palisade. In full gear, alert in stance, they looked sharp and ready to defend the stronghold.
Blast.
Meve hissed, for she now knew Red Lobendon would not fall by surprise. A siege would be needed, and it would slow her advance. Yet there was naught she could do, as this was her one road to Angren and to Caldwell. Reynard wiped the sweat from his brow, donned his helmet, and dropped his visor with a tap.
On your command, Your Majesty.
Oh boy, okay, well, it's not going to come easy, it seems. And okay, this also rings a bell. This is from The Witcher 2. Alright, it's been a while, so apparently I just forgot, but Lobendon, at least, is the location from The Witcher 2, and I suppose Angren must be as well. And yeah, it was, on the edge of Temeria, I think? This might, under more normal circumstances, be Temerian territory, not Nilfgaardian territory, and again, all the more reason why it seems a little bit weird that the Temerians and other northern realms are so quick to try to side with Nilfgaard, but alas. Is this a simple attack versus... I guess this is straightforward. The question is, what does this entail? Is this a basically forfeit to them and say, oh no, there's no way we can get past you, and try to go basically try to see if they'll show us mercy? That seems pretty unlikely. Or would this potentially present alternatives like, you know, a more stealthy, deceptive approach? I mean, it's a fortification on the other side of the bridge. I mean, there's only one way to get to it. So unless we're swimming around this thing, I don't really see, in all of our armor, I don't really see a way for us to pull that off, so I'm not really sure there is a way around this.
Very well. We mustn't delay. Reynard, our plan of attack. Armored infantry to lead and take the first salvo upon their breast, scaling ladders to follow. Afterwards...
Masterful. Truly masterful.
Interrupted Gascon.
Yet, despite the mastery, fit to be improved.
How, namely?
Hold back your force. Lie in waiting. I'll take 10 good men and open the gates for you. Wide.
Okay, so I mean, this is basically the case I was making, was is there some alternative method we could use to not just try to brute force our way into a highly fortified area? Because, I mean, it doesn't really seem like we have much working to our advantage in that case.
And how do you aim to achieve this?
Asked Reynard.
Knock and claim to be a trinket peddler, I suppose. Or perhaps one of Lebioda's devout disciples.
Must you know every last detail?
I mean, this
Where's
is
the
why
fun in that, sir?
I
There's
was
none in
uncertain about it.
warfare. Never.
Seethed Reynard.
For war is no farce. Your Majesty, he stands no chance. Not the slightest.
None at all, I concur. Yet his eagerness intrigues. Let's see what he can do.
Oh?
Reynard did not approve of Meve's decision, this was clear. Yet he dared not undermine it.
Also odd that we didn't
The
get to
Queen's
choose in that.
blessing now his, Gascon assembled a small force and set off, straight for the stronghold gate.
Lambs to the slaughter.
Muttered Reynard, shaking his head.
My queen, it's not too late. We can always...
Shh! Look,
Still no decision yet. I mean, initially we chose the battle approach, so I'm surprised that it kind of forced us to do the opposite here. I mean, maybe we're about to get to choose whether to support Gascon or Reynard, but we'll see. I mean, at least Gascon doesn't blatantly, obviously look like a Lyrian or Rivia.
Already at the gate, Gascon lifted his arm in a gesture of peace, then merrily bantered a bit with the guards. A moment later, the gates jerked into motion.
But how?
no matter. The gate stands open.
How'd he
We
do
must
it?
attack.
Meve raced off towards the fortress without even glancing back. She knew well her soldiers would follow.
I mean, I suppose maybe that initial decision is what dictates what happens once Gascon does get the gate open. But I mean, once he does, what are you going to do? If you're not trying to fight, then gate might be open, but as soon as you approach, they're going to realize that it's Lyrians and Rivians and that we're at war, and so they're going to attack us, right? So I don't really see a way around that. But here we go. Usually, whenever we've entered a new area, the first encounters tend not to be that difficult, but we shall see. It's a story battle, and just one round for what it's worth. So the Battle of Red Lobaden. The guards continued their attempt to close the gate, but Gascon's men quickly disposed of them, thrusting their knives between gaps in the heavy plates. The Lyrians raised their fists in triumph and cheered, but Meve was quick to silence them. Their celebration was premature. True, the invaders lost the tactical advantage, but had not yet been defeated. Not entirely sure what this is about. Is that maybe because we chose the attack approach, because we were skeptical of a more stealthy approach? I mean, that's probably the alternative. It just didn't seem all that feasible, but alas, alas. Let us begin. Okay, so just one round. And before we are choosing our starting hand here, let's see what we can figure out in advance. So, there's Scout. Every 4 turns on turn start, draw a card if you are losing. That's interesting. Huh. Interesting condition for that. Oh, well, also Gascon's over there. Hold on a second. Imperial Brigade. If in hand, deck, or on the battlefield, strengthen self by 2 whenever an enemy unit appears on the ranged row. Okay, so it only doesn't get powered up when it's in the graveyard. Imperial Enforcers every turn on turn start, boost adjacent units by 1 if this unit has armor, and it does right now. Right now, Gascon is adjacent to it, So Gascon would get boosted, and that might not be a bad thing. Let's see, Stray's Infiltrator. We know that these, after 2 turns, turn start, boost up by the combined power of adjacent units, then move to the other side. Okay, that's an upgraded version of it, so it's going to get boosted up by both these guys. Then the Pikemen draw a copy of this card when they play it, but if it gets destroyed, discard all copies of this unit from hand and deck, so we really want to get rid of you. And with our leader ability, we might be able to make that happen immediately. Every turn start, boost adjacent units by 1 if this unit has armor. In this case, that's not as well, not quite as valuable to us. The thing about leader ability here is, if we hit everything that's a 4, we're going to destroy also these infiltrators, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we might be willing to do that just to get rid of you guys. And Gascon, every 2 turns on turn start, destroy a random Nilfgaardian ally. If Meve passes, move to the other side of the battlefield. So he comes back to our side of the battlefield at the very end of the match, basically. So we do want him to get powered up by you, specifically. Okay. So, I mean, in the past, for what it's worth, Nilfgaard has generally been the easiest opponent for us to go after. Isbel, if they have damage, is definitely a nice addition. The Stray's Infiltrator, obviously this one is weaker than the ones that we have already starting on their side of the board. But, yeah, the Bomber may not make much sense given how we have a lot of units that we actually don't want to hit, and we can't really avoid hitting them if we go with the Bomber and we want to play it early. Whereas, same could be said of the Northern Wind, it's just that we can wait to play this at the very end, and we'll still hit Gascon, but won't be too bad. We go with the Slinger. Might be able to move some things around to facilitate powering up Gascon and or Infiltrators. Not sure how feasible that really is, but do we want this many of them? That does seem like overkill, he says as he draws into another one. Okay, I think we probably do prefer Gabor. And maybe we leave it at this.
Oh, ha-ha! The strays have come to play!
Alright, so let's see. Fire Scorpion, damage enemy unit by 2. If it was destroyed, spawn fire on its row. That sounds pretty nasty. So we would like to get rid of you as well. These guys get powered up to 5, which means we cannot immediately destroy them with leader ability unless we get a little bit of extra help from the Arbalest. I mean, we could immediately follow up with the Northern Wind, but that feels kind of questionable. Yeah. I mean, it does mean that you will not die when we use leader ability, which is nice, but still, you will. Yeah, if we go for 4s, we could go for 4 and hit you and hit you. We don't really want to destroy you just yet, but that way we avoid these guys, and I think we'll go with Gabor to destroy you instead on our first turn, perhaps. Let's go for that. So, leader ability here. And then... oh, and that's only if this unit has armor. Yeah, which is... how did this one... oh, random damage happened to hit you, but it didn't hit you. That's unfortunate. We would have liked for you to have had armor, but not you. Anyways, let's go Gabor here, and we will use him...
oh, could murder a pint.
...and damage to destroy this pikeman, and then all subsequent pikemen. Does it destroy the ones... hand and deck? Okay, so it doesn't destroy the ones on the board here. I think we'd like to hit you pretty hard. Although, combined power. On one hand, if we wait, you're going to get stronger, but I think this is important enough to shut this down. 2 damage shouldn't have enough to destroy anything on this turn, at least not yet. I guess we'll still go for this. Or, yeah. It's not super valuable. We'll do that. Get you out. That's not bad. Okay. And then I think... oh, no. This is going to immediately come over right. I was going to say maybe we sneak in a Tainted Ale here to get rid of you and also power up the Strays. That might have been a better option than Gabor because this actually wasn't super time sensitive, what we just did on that turn there. So, alas, so be it. What did Knickers just eat? Because I'm not sure that we are a huge fan of that. I mean, that is worth a lot, those infiltrators there. So I'm going to copy this unit from your deck. We would like to get rid of you too. Oh, but I mean, for what it's worth, we missed the best opportunity to use this. So, I mean, I guess it was kind of okay, but still. All right, so now... I mean, getting an infiltrator next to Gascon would not be a terrible idea, which is kind of fitting. On the other hand, we could hit you for 10, and that's nearly enough to take you out. Not quite, but almost. Similarly with you. The adjacent unit damage is pretty solid here, though, and not as useful here. So I think we probably do go this route. Yeah, they do summon another one out, though. Yeah, it does make this rather difficult to shut down entirely, because we basically need to destroy it altogether in one turn. Otherwise, it's just not going to be enough, because this one has already done its thing and is not all that relevant anymore. So, we can see what we get from Barnabas. But I guess probably still worth it to wait for that. I don't think we're going to have anything that can take you out single-handedly. So let's use a slinger. Gascon. It's not going to get boosted by adjacent units, yes. We don't care if he has a big or a small card next to him. And also, unfortunately, you're armorless at this point, so you're not really helping us anymore unless they give you armor in the future. So why don't we just hit all the 11s? Yes, they have armor, but it means if we leader ability on an 11 in the future, which I think is something that we will very likely do, then that will set us up for more damage then. Yep. Oh, also they draw a card if they're losing, which I'm pretty sure is what they just did. Which is interesting, because yeah, after all the cards moved over to our side, we definitely had a pretty significant advantage. So that was... it's not ideal. Infiltrator. I mean, Gascon is the biggest, right? So I guess we'll probably use you. Unit to the right. Let's put you there. Okay, now they're getting a whole lot of these Magnet divisions out here, though. It is starting to add up big time. And for what it's worth, this is also the Nilfgaard music for multiplayer Gwent. Okay, they did get the death blow on one of these scorpions, so it's interesting. It started out in perhaps a false sense of security. It felt like we had such a huge lead that it was no big deal, and we were going to handle this fairly easily, but now perhaps it's not so simple. Perhaps it is not quite so simple. So now we could... I mean, again, we could hit a bunch of 11s, and in doing so, just get rid of their armor and set ourselves up for a bigger leader building on our next turn, which I think is probably still what we're going to do. There's something to be said for trying to clog the row, though, that has the ones that are going to continue to summon stuff. It doesn't specify if it has to be that row. I'm actually surprised that it doesn't say that. So, I mean... just do this. I know it doesn't short-term do any damage, but it's going to set up more damage when we hit all the 11s with our leader ability. There's our infiltrator. So I suppose that was one thing that was inflating the number a little bit. Does it say how... okay, it does say their cooldown.
Wise choice.
Whenever an ally appears, gain charges for more damage. It's been a while since we've seen all these Nilfgaardian cards. But, I mean, it does mean Isabel's going to be a little bit stronger once we do eventually break her out. I do think Blood could be interesting because, what was it? The Alchemist could be useful when we have some very highly boosted cards like you. Alchemist, I always need to double check. Set equal to the power of the unit on the left, so Infiltrator would get a decent boost, not... We would like to have a smaller card next to Knickers in that case. But... suppose... let's go Leader Ability here on the 11s, as we were saying, because that should be worth quite a lot. And then... let's go... maybe we do Blood here. And we delay Barnabas, because he does have some things that can gain value the more we wait. We do get an Alchemist. And we do get a Bomber. It's a little late for a Bomber. But if we go Alchemist here, that's worth a fair bit, and Alchemist here would be worth a fair bit as well. So I think that's probably what we're going for. Would even go and put an Alchemist here. Yeah, tell you what the best course of action is. Double Alchemist. And you put the first one here. And this one's going to get used to power you up. And then the second one is going to get put, well, probably here just to avoid the fire. And use it to power up this, because this is a slightly better boost than this would have been if we still had the 11 in that position. I was considering keeping, oh, we also might have wanted to use these guys before we did that, but oh well. Do we even have any units in here anymore? I might even be I think it is an Infiltrator. We might get Gascon, but probably rather not take this risk unless you drop down to 1, which might happen. Yeah, that is a lot of damage that's adding up here. Yeah, and they're going to might try to hit you. I mean, you already have fire in this row, so I'm not entirely sure if they're going to do that, but they're also taking a very long time to take all their turns.
Order will triumph. It must triumph.
Whenever an ally is destroyed, this unit loses O. We've seen these before. So that is, it's a very strong card. For what it's worth, it was not enough for them to catch us, but they do have a 1 power card, which is one that we can guarantee that we destroy with Northern Wind, but that would destroy you as well. It's so close to destroying all these guys that we need 1 more damage on them, though. So I think what we'll do is, I think the later we play Barnabas, the better still, and we might deliberately play Isabel slightly early for that reason, so let's use her here.
When will you ever learn?
Then probably Barnabas next and finish with the Northern Wind. See if we can get even more units damaged. I'm not even sure what that was that killed you, but it did damage you, so that's kind of nice. But they still have a lot more cards than we do, because they've been losing for a while, so they've got an extra card draw. They're going after Isabel, which does make a lot of sense. Oh no, not another one. I mean, hitting Isabel, for what it's worth, does of course make her stronger, but now, and if we get stuff damaged by the fire, technically we can boost back up with Isabel. So let's use Barnabas. We're looking for damage here.
Not supposed to be any smoke.
Ooh. Ooh, ooh. Do you have... you have immunity. Darn. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, oh, how I wish. Oh, how I wish that were not the case. But, I mean, we can still destroy stuff. And in doing so, that can weaken these guys significantly. Unless... is there anyone we would want to return to our hand? It would give us 1 more turn to play, but that's not enough for us to get leader ability back, so it's not even that big of a factor. The immunity, I don't think that matters too much. I think we're taking this. And with it, oh, how I wish. Oh, how I wish. There's something to be said for hitting you. Yeah, actually, I mean, these are 9-point bodies, yes, but these abilities are worth at least 2 points per turn, so that is already 9 points apiece. With just 1 turn from you, but from there on out, then we probably want to hit the 9s. So that destroys them and deals a lot of damage to those guys, so you love to see that. And with just 2 power remaining on this footman, might take our chances. We know that these guys are not actually in our deck, but it's what? Slingers, Infiltrator, and Gascon? Still should be more than 3, so I'm not entirely sure what to make of this.
We got a job to do.
And that is not what we wanted to see. 1 more turn. Oh, and I wanted to do this one anyway. But yeah, that is going to go to their side of the board. Move this unit 1 row toward opponent. They don't have enough time for this. Oh, but they're going to keep on playing cards, so it is eventually going to make its way over. Save more cards than us. Yeah, that is an issue. Okay, well... I mean, this is our finisher, and it is a pretty strong one at that. Wish it destroyed slightly more cards to further damage these guys, but they have been significantly weakened, and of course Gascon will eventually, and by will eventually I mean right now, come back over to our side of the board. But we should do this first. I'm not thrilled about how it did give some boost to you and some boost to you, and you're both gonna end up on their side of the board. Oh, and we lost the guy that I actually did want to swap out for a card in our deck anyway, so yeah, definitely didn't go perfectly, but we have a pretty huge lead here, and we will get Gascon back. They're going to get this 32-point unit. They're also going to get that. But I still don't think that's going to be enough for them. They just have 1 card left here. Unless they're going to get that card draw just in the nick of time. But no, we'll take the win.
Red Lobington for you, my lady. Compliments of the house.
Thanks, Gascon.
Gascon seemed a fiend as he fought his way to the keep, then single-handedly killed the commander. Suddenly leaderless, the Nilfgaardians
Single-handedly?
laid down their arms.
My, Gascon. Colour me surprised.
Pleasantly so, I trust.
Indeed, indeed.
Don't fish for compliments, it doesn't suit you. Besides, you know you deserve both medal and title.
I shall hold you to it, my queen.
In due course. But I must know how. What ruse persuaded the Nilfgaardians to open the gate?
True, I am very curious.
Come, my delightful charms, no ruse.
Yeah, but not really.
Oh, I see. Not one to share secrets.
Oh, is that so now?
Unremarkable, as I see it. I'd hold my tongue too, were my conscience thus burdened.
I've done naught to hide my shameful past, friend. I was a brigand, indeed, yet...
Do not dare take me for a fool. You know of what I speak.
Oh? What?
Yet I don't. Reynard, what is this? What the devils is with you?
What's going on?
Your Grace, in Mahakam, the Nilfgaardian letter we managed to intercept.
Was it Gascon who was playing a part in that? And are you talking about the letter that we got before the end when we were around the dam? And supposedly the Nilfgaardians were trying to, well, set something up with the dwarves in Mahakam to ambush us?
Consider your offer accepted. Direct Meve and her force to the agreed site. We await their
Right.
arrival. Your reward shall be as agreed.
Yes, that one.
'Twas Gascon who told us Caldwell had received Angren to rule. 'Twas Gascon who suggested we ride for Lobington.
So are you suggesting it is actually Gascon who is the traitor?
Here, the Blackclads willingly opened the gate, for they expected him to deliver a prisoner. You.
That may be, Reynard. I doubted that it would be Gascon. Perhaps I put too much faith in him, though. I mean, you make some strong cases, for sure. I would like some more evidence. I mean, yes, based on your claims, it does seem pretty convincing, but on the other hand, we don't have any super clear ties, any definitive confirmation that it was in fact Gascon and not someone else in our group that did that, other than just Reynard's word for it. So, it's not that I don't believe it, it's that I would like just a little more factual evidence to support your claim. So, I'm really somewhere in between these two things, of course. But, I'm hesitant to throw Gascon straight in front of the bus like that.
I don't believe this. No, it cannot be.
Deny it, Gascon. Go on. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh?
Do you require any more proof, Your Grace?
I mean, yeah, that evidence right there is pretty good.
What do they promise you? Amnesty? Coin in heaps?
Both. I knew Nilfgaard wouldn't parley with me as a matter of course. To be treated seriously, I needed something they valued. A stroke of luck, it was, the chance to free you from Caldwell's grip. It was in Edern that we first spoke. Then came to an understanding after Rosberg's fall.
Okay. Go on.
Why do I still live then? Why not snatch me under Knight's mantle? Drag me to Red Lobendon in chains?
True. Or just, I mean, presumably they'd want to be the ones that killed Meve, not have Gascon do it for them, but still, I mean, he could have done that. Probably still would have been paid pretty handsomely for handing them Meve's head.
Meve, I sought to sell you out, I did, and aimed to gain by it. Yet in Edern, you earned my respect. In
Is
my
that so
action,
now?
My admiration.
Those words are pretty hollow, though.
I swore then I wouldn't follow the terms of the accord I'd made. Instead, I'd let you into the fort and make damn sure the Commandant couldn't reveal the truth. Alas, seems I underestimated Reynard.
Okay, well, I also expected for it to be one of the major plot lines for the entirety of our time in Angren here, and then suddenly for us to potentially identify the spy right off the bat. That's another reason why I was a little hesitant to immediately say that it was Gascon.
Flattery will get you knout. You, sir, are a traitor.
Oh, please, friend. You appear to me a pot that calls the kettle black.
Oh? Is that so now? Reynard? What's he talking about?
Reynard? What does he mean?
I've no notion, your grace. Not the slightest.
Gascon?
Truly. Ha, and I had you pegged for a man of honor.
Alright, do tell.
Come now, Reynard. Who sent secret missives to Willem? Go on, you really should tell your queen.
Okay. Reynard's been coordinating with Willem now, has he?
What? Reynard?
His Highness guest chambers in Mahakam. One of my lads snuck in. Found a letter bearing the signature of one Reynard Odo.
I mean, Reynard, if you were doing that, why would you sign it your own name? That's just stupid. Just asking to be caught.
Reynard, I beg you. Say it's not so. Tell me it's a filthy lie.
Your grace. I'd hoped His Highness and you would
true.
reconcile. To see son stand against mother rent my heart. I wish to help.
Oh dear. So it is not quite as simple as it might have initially seemed when it's way too straightforward to be, oh yeah, no, the spy in question was Gascon all along and that's all there is to it. No, it can't be that easy.
Behind my back.
But, I mean, I was just saying earlier how I did not suspect these two. I felt like they would have too much plot armor, and I was wrong.
Your Majesty, I sought merely to push the youth to see reason, to open his eyes.
So say you now. Yet I can't know what was in the letters. I can't know what pacts you made. And alas, I can no longer take you at your word.
Phew, I mean, harsh but true.
I'm not alone in having deceived. Yet I am in repairing my wrong.
Oh, I mean, he does kind of have a point here. He's tried to make up for it, Gascon has, but, Reynard?
Meve felt a tempest rise inside her, yet she could not release it lest it cloud her view. She would solve the problem, strike it from her mind, and resume her journey at once.
Oh man, hold on, what do we have here? I shall look past these betrayals this once, to give them a one-time warning. Ditch Reynard, ditch Gascon, or ditch both of them. Wow, I did not see this coming. As I said, of all the people, I was perhaps least suspicious of these two. Reynard especially felt like he was so loyal to us, I just couldn't see a world in which he was going to be the one that was betraying us. I mean, for him to be betraying us because he still had ties to Willem, I suppose that does make some sense. And Gascon being bought out, yeah, I mean, I guess can't really be too surprised about that. But, wow. I mean, both of them claim that it was... They had good reason to do what they had done, and they have sort of, kind of, for the most part, apologized. So, on one hand, they have been, although they've been helping the Nilfgaardians in some way, shape, or form, they have also been very useful allies to us. They've been walking this tightrope of, they've helped us significantly, but they've also been conspiring with our enemy. As we just saw, Gascon was about to sell us out and could have been the end of Meve and Lyria and Rivia, but then chose not to. So he has, in some ways, shown that when push comes to shove, he will still side with us. Technically, Reynard has not yet done the same. You could make the case that his wrongdoing was not as significant, but even then, that's not necessarily a sound argument. So, I'm tempted to go this route, but obviously, what kind of message does that send that we are going to excuse such significant acts of reason? It's kind of, it might be. Something along those lines. So, I think we still do it, but it does certainly set out a big red flag, a big warning that nobody can be trusted at face value. Not even Reynard, and to a lesser extent. You know, I suppose at some point in time we probably expected Gascon to pull a fast one on us, but not to this extent.
Drawn and quartered, I should have you both. Yet in truth, I cannot do without your aid. Now more than ever. 'Tis the one reason I show mercy and forgive.
I honestly can't even imagine how we would have gotten this far without them. And so that is ultimately the primary reason why I'm forgiving both of them. But of course, if either of them, for a second time, do something of similar or certainly equal consequence, then they're out. They're out.
Your Grace, perhaps made with doubt, but 'tis the right decision. I shall prove it.
All right,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully it's a reality check for them that, I mean, on one hand, they could get the sense of, oh, well, okay, well, she's giving us a pass, so we can get away with anything, so we're going to continue to do more of it. But, I mean, that's one potential way they could take it, but I hope it's more of a, all right, this is our warning, and if we do this again, we are toast. And so, hopefully that means they correct their bad behavior, but we don't know yet.
Reynard and I rarely see eye to eye, but under the circumstances, I second his every word.
Oh, shut your damn traps. And I believe you're needed in the wagon train. Now!
The Queen's wish was clear and fierce. Gascon and Reynard slid off, leaving Meve to her thoughts.
And the wording there as well, slid off like snakes, because, I mean, I know what they were.
From the palisades rampart, Meve gazed out over the marshlands across the Aruga. The Queen sighed deeply. She expected great challenges in Angren. She had also expected, even hoped, to find the one traitor in her midst. But two, and both her close aides-de-camp. She felt a weight upon her heart now.
Blast it all.
She muttered.
Not the first dagger I've taken in the back. Likely not the last either. Yet to pity my lot will help not at all.
Yeah, and like I said, I did not expect it.
From the captive Nilfgaardians, Meve learned Caldwell was at Tuzla Castle, in Angren's very heart. A small detachment would remain at Red Lobenden, while the Queen with the rest of her force set off to face the treacherous Count.
Mom, I must speak to you when you find a free moment.
Still sounds like Mom. And I suppose that might explain why we couldn't talk to her before. But, oh boy, did not see that one coming, and things are starting off in very dramatic fashion here in Angren. So, I had said before how I was a little disappointed by how the writing seemed to go down a peg or two in Mahakam, but certainly things have gotten much better early on here. I would make the case in Angren where the stakes are higher than ever. So with that being said, this is a good place for us to wrap up here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.